So I was scrolling through YouTube recently, looking for something fun to watch, when I saw a video talking about the problems surrounding Automobilista 2, often referred to as AMS2. Now this news surprised me, as I hadn't heard anything bad about AMS2 in any of the sim groups that I'm a member of. I also thought it surprising, as it is highly rated on Steam, although the more I looked it up, there were plenty of videos talking about the problems that plagued AMS2, and many videos talking about the various updates, saying things like, has our patience paid off? And, this is the update we've been waiting for. Now I will be the first to admit that I am not an authority in the world of sim racers, as I only built my rig late last year and have spent a total of 25 hours in it in the past 2 months. But from everything I had seen prior, AMS2 seemed like it would be a good option to help learn the art of sim racing in. This is why I picked it up on Steam during the sale back in December, adding it to my abysmal collection of 5 sim games. I even chose it over sims like rFactor 2, which I know have gotten great reviews over the years. All of this got me thinking, though, that I might have made a mistake buying this game. Is it really that bad? Did I just waste my money on AMS2 when I could have spent it on rFactor 2 or iRacing? Well, since I'm snowed in yet again and can't get any work done that requires being outside, I decided to forego working on the race car this week, as I'm growing tired of the cold, uninsulated garage, and instead I figured I would check out AMS2 for the first time. I had intended to get into ACC next, since I had already played around with Assetto Corsa and Project Cars 2 in the past several weeks. But I see no harm in trying this out instead to see if it really is that bad, or if hardcore sim racers are just seeking too much perfection. Alright, so jumping into Automobilista 2 here, we can see that they're starting off with one thing. I've been playing a lot of Project Cars 2 recently, ever since I made that video, and I've been playing the campaign, which is kind of fun. I quite enjoy that. But as you can see here, we've only got options for single race, multiplayer, championship, test day, and time trial. And in championship, there isn't really a race. I mean, it's a bunch of races, but there's no campaign, is what I'm saying. But I could still do the championships if I wanted to. What I have already done is I've actually set up a custom race here. I have my race here starting at 5 laps just because I want to just get a quick dip my feet in there. And I have done some practice to familiarize myself with the game. And then we're going to do the race. And I do have qualifying here is actually enabled. I'm actually going to turn that off because I don't want to do qualifying. So qualifying is off because I've done practice. I'll just start in the back. We'll see where it goes. And I had options on what cars to choose, but I decided to go to the GT4 class, and I chose the Jetta G55. I was considering the BMW M6. I figured it'd be nice to do something I wouldn't typically do, which is this car right here. This is not something I typically would have picked. And then I've got it set to Imola, which I just thought would be a fun circuit to do this on. So our track is going to be Imola. I've got the Jetta G55, and we are at 5 laps. So let's go ahead and hop into this race. Okay, and unsurprisingly, yes, it does indeed look like I am starting 16th on the grid, right behind a McLaren and another G55, G55, and so on and so forth. So, I've got some room to make up. I've got 5 laps to do it. Let's see, make sure the setup is good. Yep, it's default set to Imola. I'm not going to play around with it. I did practice to get an idea for the wheel, make sure things were sitting right with that. And just make sure the game was working for me. I'm not going to worry about changing any of the settings here. I'll just let it be. So we're going to go ahead and go back on that one. The game crashed. That's not the first time it crashed for me. But I will discuss that more after the race. And I get more information about the game. Because once again, I'm just seeing what it's like. People are saying there's bugs. I have had multiple crashes. So that's already a bad start. But let's go ahead and jump into the race here. Actually, I think... yes, the default here is 25 liters of fluid for 10 laps, but we've actually got this to 5 laps. So I'm going to give myself 6 laps of fuel, 16 liters. I don't know if the weight of the fuel in this affects the car, but I'm going to guess that it does. But since we're only running 6 or 5 laps, I'm going to give it 16, yeah, 25 liters. I'm going to give it 16 liters just because I think that will help. Okay, now let's jump into the race. First race, and I don't get this. I don't get why my steering wheel does that shake thing. So instead of starting behind a McLaren now, we're starting behind another G55 and it looks like a Chevy, so we obviously had a bad first start there, which is very unfortunate. A little bit of lost control there, but that was not good. Stop pushing me, McLaren. We've got one position so far. Then again, this is default AI, so kind of feel bad that I haven't gotten more positions. Oh, sorry, McLaren. They're going really slow through corners for me. And then on the straightaways, like this McLaren, he's got me. He's got the speed. Oh, that was my fault. Yeah, I gotta focus in those corners or else I'm gonna crash. Something I've also been noticing, I was having the same issue in practice, is in straightaways or in braking. When I'm braking, sometimes the car will randomly turn. It'll randomly turn either left or right when I'm braking, which causes me to pull one way or the other. It'll cause the car to pull one side or the other, and I think it has to do with the jiggling that my steering wheel had at the beginning of the race, where it just is randomly pulling because there's something wrong with the sync between the wheel and the game. And like I said, that doesn't happen in any other game, so it could be my wheel settings, I could just have something wrong, but it could also be the game having an issue with the wheel. So I'm catching up to the pack again here. Hopefully I don't make any mistakes, but I would like to finish a little bit higher than 13th, if at all possible, especially on this level of AI. I do try to be respectful to the AI. I don't want to bomb them, despite the fact that they're not real and they can't get upset at me, just because I don't want to get in the habit of doing that stuff. I want to try and drive it as respectfully as possible and treat the AI like they're actual people. If I was playing something like iRacing, I would have one car that I'm always practicing in, whereas here with a set of Corsa and Project Cars 2, and now this game, I'm changing up what I'm in all the time. Oh, he saved me. Once again, that was the steering wheel pulling, although I think that one was me being a little bit too aggressive in that corner. If he wants to try and take it in this corner, I'll give it to him, because this is the one that I unfairly passed. Okay, let's see if I can get a more clean run on this. There we go. Clean run where it didn't pull until the very last second. Oh, this is the last lap anyway. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to finish 13th after all that, which I am okay with. Not the best race from an amateur like myself, only finishing 13th from last, but it was to be expected with limited time in the game and Sims as a whole. I did get practice with that car on that track before jumping into the race, so I wouldn't be completely terrible. I also played around with a few other races to get a more full opinion of the game after the initial race. Now, it's worth saying that before going into this, I did little research into the bugs and complaints people were having with the game, and yet there are some things worth mentioning that I found myself. The first thing I noticed was the menu. The menus were annoying to navigate with their scroll to select options, which I would say is my only real complaint. The actual problems came once I started practice. The first thing I noticed was what my wheel was doing when idle. It would violently shake when the car wasn't even moving. I have never experienced this in any other sim. I also could not figure out a way to stop it. I don't, however, know if it had any effect in my racing, but it did seem controllable when grabbing the wheel normally, and I didn't have to fight it. The only thing that I feel like it may have caused was in braking. When going into braking zones, I would often feel a sudden pull to either the left or the right at the end of the braking zones, and I would have to correct for it. I know I was keeping the wheel straight and not giving it any steering angle when it happened, but it would still suddenly pull. Though it is possible the issue lies in my wheel and settings, and not actually in the game itself. One thing I do know I can fault the game for, however, though, is the crashes. I ended up playing the game for nearly 8 hours to make this video, and I experienced 3 crashes in that time. 3 crashes where the game stopped responding and I had to force quit and restart it. I did also have a one-off occasion where when trying with a Formula car, I ended up sending it into a wall and the wheel went through the wall. It was kind of weird and I've never seen that before, but there is a reset button in the game, so it was pretty easy to get out of. But that's really it. Like I already said, I'm no authority in sim racing. I've only been doing it for 2 months, and I can't really exactly translate my real-life driving to it. But honestly, that's exactly why I decided to make this video. I bought AMS2 because I wanted to get my feet wet in sim racing as a non-pro. It is important for the first experience to be an enjoyable one to attract a wider audience, and you don't need to be a pro to understand that. I can see where some of the complaints are coming from. It wasn't the smoothest experience for me, and there were some bugs. But that comes with the territory of it being a new game. The developers do appear to be trying their best to make the game as good as possible, and it's working. Among all the videos that I saw talking about AMS2 and the problems that it was having, there were few videos that were talking about how far it had come. Honestly, the few problems I faced when I was playing aren't the end of the world to me. The game is 11 months old, and they have already ironed out many of the problems. Let's not forget where Assetto Corsa Competizione ACC came from. After 11 months being out, it was facing a lot of the same problems, but look at where it is now. So I guess, to answer my question, I don't regret buying AMS2. I look forward to many more hours of fun in it. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.